You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
That's not something they're thinking about really when they're making a movie. They're thinking to make something entertaining. But to write it down in a book, I was like, I need to come up with reasons why, sharks can survive when flying around inside of a tornado. How do I make that sort of believable? And so I talked to a marine biologist for that. And I was like, how did, is this, not could this happen, but what's a logical way to make this, happen?
You're listening to the Dave Bullis Podcast.
Hey everyone, thanks again for hitting that play button. It's another episode of the Dave Bullis Podcast. Before I get started with my interview with Andrew Shaffer, this is a very important podcast because we're going to teach you in this episode to how to survive a Sharknado. Now, Sharknado 3 is going to air on the Sci-Fi Channel on July the 22nd. This is going up the day before, but if you're a subscriber, it's going up about 1 to 2 days early, so you can get even quicker preparation for battling this Sharknado. I know you're all very interested, so I'm going to get right into it. And without further ado, here's the interview with Andrew Shaffer, author of How to Survive a Sharknado.
It's got teeth, it's got speed. Destruction is all it needs. No. Run away from the Sharknado. Blood is gonna flow. The water died in Sharknado.
Hey everyone, thanks again for hitting that play button. It's another episode of the Dave Bullis Podcast. Joining me today is Andrew Shaffer. Andrew is a humorist and New York Times bestselling author whose works include The Great Philosophers Who Failed at Love, the Goodreads Choice semifinalist 50 Shames of Earl Grey Tea, and Sci-Fi's How to Survive a Sharknado and Other Unnatural Disasters. Andrew, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm awake. It's about 3 p.m. here on the West Coast. So...
Very cool. So could you just give us a little bit about your background and how you got started as an author?
How I got started as an author, I've always sort of been, I was always into reading as a child. And I sort of thought that the natural thing then was to start writing, and I don't think I realized early on that not everybody who reads books, gets the inclination to also write them. It just felt like a very natural progression to me. But early on, as a child, I was very much into horror and science fiction, any type of mystery, any type of genre fiction. Was really what I sort of devoured at the time. Then I took a little detour in terms of I went to college where I studied at the University of Iowa with Writers Workshop students there, which is it's much more of a literary fiction sort of training, and I got into that for a little bit of while, but I found myself sort of gravitating more back towards genre fiction, young adult, just stuff that was sort of more entertaining, I thought, and that's kind of where I find myself right now, is going from maybe sort of more of a literary nonfiction books, moving more into genre stuff like the How to Survive a Sharknado.
Yeah, very cool. And that's a very important book because we all know Sharknadoes can happen. So I wanted to ask you, how did you actually pitch this book? I mean, did you actually pitch it to Sci-Fi as because I know in the book you cover other of their movies too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this was I watched Sharknado, the first movie, and I let my agent know. I was like, if there's like a novelization or something, I'd love to do that. Of course, there wasn't with the first movie, but then she heard that Random House and the Sci-Fi Channel were looking to do something with the second movie, some type of tie-in, and they had the idea to do a survival guide, sort of like the zombie survival guide by Max Brooks. And it was something that I did. So I don't think originally, they really thought of me because I wasn't writing any type of genre stuff at the time. I just had a parody come out though, 50 Shades of Earl Grey. So they kind of said, well, you kind of do the humor writing, and I did a sample for it. They ended up liking it and asked me to write the book then. So it came together pretty fast. I had to watch about I don't know, it was like 30 or 40 different sci-fi movies to actually write the book, and it sort of ties them all together sort of in one universe.
Okay, excellent. So, when you did actually pitch to Sci-Fi, were they really open to using all their other movies as well?
We had a list to go off of. I mean, I had some that I wanted to use that we weren't able to, but they had a list of, somewhere probably about 50 or 60 that they had licensing that we could work with. And then there was just a bunch that were off limits. So it was basically, I had to go with what they gave me and then sort of narrow it down from there. And then we actually ended up creating a bunch for the guidebook. So there's about 10 or 12 in there, I think, that are actually unique and original to the book.
And what's cool is, because if you haven't seen all the sci-fi movies, you can actually go through and try to figure out which ones are created and which ones are actually real movies.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I've had some people pick up the book and go, "How did you come up with some of this crap?" I'm like, "I didn't." I did. It's just, you can actually go. They're like, "There should be a movie about this," and I'm like, "Well, guess what? You can go see a Piranaconda movie, and it's pretty amazing."
So, could you elaborate, on some of the monsters that you wanted to use but you couldn't?
I don't even really remember exactly which ones we couldn't use off the top of my head. But I know that, we had to sort of narrow it down to what was sort of, we didn't want to have like 30 different shark based ones, so there were some, but we used most of the big Sci-Fi Channel movies that they'd done that were kind of hits, like Sharktopus and Piranaconda and stuff, even Stonado. So there wasn't really a lot that was left on the cutting room floor, I'd say.
Okay, interesting. So, so when you were writing this book and you're piecing this all together, did you actually watch each individual movie and sort of make a list and make a lot of notes on each?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I had to watch every movie that we included 3, 4, 5 times to really pick up everything that was going on and kind of look at different angles and stuff. So it was really, I approached it sort of like I did my nonfiction books, which was just a lot of research, and then I had to try to figure out scientific explanations for how some of this stuff happened in the real world. And that's not something they're thinking about really when they're making the movie. They're thinking to make something entertaining. But to write it down in a book, I was like, I need to come up with reasons why, sharks can survive when flying around inside of a tornado. How do I make that sort of believable? And so I talked to a marine biologist for that, and I was like, how did is this, not could this happen, but what's a logical way to make this, happen?
So when you interviewed that marine biologist, did he or she know what Sharknado was before you talked to them?
Oh yeah. The biologist I spoke to, she was a huge fan of these sci-fi movies actually, and was really thrilled to answer my questions and stuff. She's like we really love them. They're I don't want to say use the word terrible. I forget what word she used, but I mean they're just entertaining. You can turn your mind off while watching them, and you don't have to worry about the scientific stuff behind it. And they said it's just for pure entertainment value.
I was just, when you brought that up, I was actually wondering, if she hadn't heard of that and you just went, could a shark and a tornado come together, and she would have been like, could you get this crazy man out of my office, please?
I know. So some of that stuff, was a lot of fun to sort of research, and then there's other stuff. I mean, I think there was one movie that I watched it probably 10 times, and I couldn't figure out any way not only to make the science work in real life, but I couldn't figure out how the science worked in the movie. I was like, this movie doesn't really make much sense, and I was like, I'm probably going to cut this one out of the book.
So you wrote this book during the and it coincided with the release of Sharknado 2.
Mm-hmm.
So so now with Sharknado 3 coming out, I wanted to ask, what are some of your expectations about Sharknado 3?
I really didn't have any expectations even for the second Sharknado, because I hadn't seen it ahead of time or read the script or anything. So the second one itself was kind of a surprise. I kind of, had an idea of that it would kind of be a little bit more meta than the first one, and it was. And so the third one, I'm kind of hoping it goes a little bit back to basics, but which is really taking the concept as seriously as possible. I think it's something that once it gets too meta, it becomes if everybody's in on the joke, then the joke itself isn't that funny anymore. So I kind of like to see it go a little more serious, but I don't really know what direction they're going to take it. I want to say a more personal Sharknado film. Maybe that's where you have to reboot the franchise. And
yeah, I really want to see a more like David Lynchian Sharknado film, but yeah, I completely agree with you on that point. I also noticed that in the second one, there was a lot more celebrity cameos, like pretty much, you know what I mean? Like every time they went somewhere, there's always new celebrity. I hear now there's like even more celebrities in Sharknado 3.
Oh yeah, it's everybody wants to be in on it, be in on the joke, and I think I don't know if it's a situation where celebrities are just contacting them and say I'll work for no money or something, and they're like, how can we refuse that? They really can't say, if David Hasselhoff wants to be in your movie or something, for no money, you really can't say no to that. It's not like they're courting these celebrities, I don't think. So, I think it's just going to have, it's definitely going to have more celebrity cameos. If you tried to play a celebrity cameo with Drinking Game or something with Sharknado 2, you would have died. I mean, there were so many that were coming so fast you didn't even know. You couldn't even tell who was an actor or who was a celebrity. It came pretty fast and furious.
It did, and I think you're right too. I think there might have been a couple people who attempted to do a Drinking Game, and the results probably weren't so well for them. So, jumping back to your book, in the chapter you have an entire chapter, obviously just to Sharknado. So, I have to ask the question: is how do you survive a Sharknado?
How do you survive a Sharknado? A lot of people have said just don't watch it. But I mean, the simple answer of how do you survive a Sharknado is some people think, oh well, I survive it by going to the basement, same way I'd survive a tornado, which really doesn't work, because a lot of times during a Sharknado you also have associated flooding with that. The only way to really escape it is to just drive as fast as possible out of town, which if you're in LA or someplace else where there's going to be a bunch of traffic jams or something, that's just not going to be possible. So there's really no good answer. The answer in the book is stand and fight. Grab a chainsaw, grab whatever you can, and fight back when these things fly at you. But personally, I'm I'm not like a survivalist or anything. I mean, I had to research survival stuff for the book, but I don't. I'm so bad about falling in real life. I'm like, I don't have like a natural disaster kit. I don't have 3 pallets of bottled water stored up here, which I probably should after reading that New Yorker article on earthquakes in the Pacific Northwest this week. So.
Yeah, I read that same article. Apparently in 50 years, Seattle is just going to be nothing.
Yeah. Seattle's going to get the worst of it, I think. Portland, where I'm at, is it's there's going to be some stuff fall off the wall or something. I don't know. It's not going to be too bad in Portland, I don't think.
Yeah, and just in case anybody doesn't know what Andrew and I are talking about, I'll link to that in the show notes, so you can read up on that, and then get scared to death and be like, "Oh my god!" So Andrew, I've had some fan questions come in. If you don't mind answering a few.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So the first question I received was, Andrew, what was the most unstoppable monster that you researched for the book?
The most unstoppable monster was the ghost shark, because there's just really no good way to stop a ghost shark. It was actually a movie too with the guy from Bull from Night Court was in this movie, and this shark manifested anywhere there was water. So it was in a swimming pool, one came out of a toilet, another came out of a bottled water, and there was no way to get away from it. Anywhere you went, I was just like, and it never got full of eating people. So it just went around and around just eating people and stuff. And I'm like, how do you stop this thing? And I'm trying to think of, you have to do some elaborate ghost trapping or something, but really it was like on a one-to-one level, on an individual level, there was nothing you could do to stop it besides find the whatever talisman it was in the movie. So ghost shark, pretty frightening stuff.
Now, see, I'll have to check that movie out because I had no idea that was actually a real movie.
Oh my god, it is amazing. Just the number of There's this amazing bikini car wash scene where the ghost shark materializes out of a bucket of water. It's just crazy.
So, a follow-up question is, Andrew, are you planning on writing a sequel to the book?
No. And basically, I think, I don't know what else I could say about Sharknadoes, or actually about most paranormal threats or supernatural stuff like that. But I am working on another book that will hopefully be sort of along the similar lines as far as horror goes.
Oh, very cool. Could you tell us a little bit about it, or you want to keep it hush-hush?
It's like super hush-hush right now.
Okay. So, all right. Then on to the next question. We had come in from Michelle, the trainer, who was a big fan of the show. Is Andrew a scuba diver, conservationist, or so? I'm sorry, that was the first part of the question. I'm sorry. I was just reading. So, are you a scuba diver, Andrew?
No, I'm not. No. I've never gone scuba diving.
And the second part of that was, any plans for Sharktopus?
Like survival for the Sharktopus. So the Sharktopus is in the book, but in terms of there's a new movie coming out, Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf, which is the third Sharktopus movie, and which again, if you haven't seen the Sharktopus movies, those are phenomenally entertaining as well. But in terms of how to survive a Sharktopus, again, it was like I started to write some of these, and I was like, the best thing you can do is just to move as far away from the coast as possible. because a lot of these threats in the book that I wrote about were all like sort of water-based threats. And I'm like, unless you like live in Florida or LA or something or along a coast, you're fine. But then you get inland, and then I said, then you find yourself in Nebraska. And I mean, I don't know. So.
So the next question that came in was, if Andrew was going to create his own sci-fi monster, what kind of monster would he create?
I think that what kind of monster I would create. I had an idea for one that was not used in the book, and it was called a wolf blizzard, which was a pun on the CNN anchor Wolf Blitzer. And it was just a blizzard of wolves. And that actually got rejected for the book because they were like, it's the pun is too far. Like they're like, there's like a line that we would never go past, and you just passed it. And I was like, oh my God. I can't believe I found the line where you will not cross. But I would still like to I was like, I'm going to go write this script.
So for all the aspiring writers listening to this, Andrew has just shown you the line in the sand that Sci-Fi Channel will not cross.
Yes.
So, Andrew, I wanted to ask right now, what are your future plans on publishing? I know there's a project that's very hush-hush, but is there any other projects you're working on or anything else you could tell us about right now?
Yeah, I'm also working on a young adult novel. That's something I've been working on for a while. I've got a few things that are like in the pipeline, but it's just like you gotta find the right sort of place for them at a publisher, or either self-publish it or whatever, and just gotta wait for sort of the stars to align. And until that happens, I don't have any good news to announce. It's kind of boring. Like, it's something my mom calls me all the time and says, "Oh, when's your next book coming out?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You'll be the first one to know. Don't worry."
So, Andrew, I wanted to ask you too. Your book Sharknado was on sale. Is it still on sale right now?
Yeah, as of today, it is for like $1.99 ebook. I don't know how long the sale's going to last, though.
Okay, so when this is up, hopefully I will link to Andrew's book in the show notes. So hopefully it'll if it's not on sale, it's still a relatively good buy, and I guarantee you it is. It's entertaining, it's hilarious, and look at me. I've learned a lot about the Sci-Fi Channel movies because I learned about Ghost Shark today. Yeah,
it's a value at any price, and the book is like 40 megabytes because it has a bunch of drawings in it. Mm-hmm. So, that's about 20 times the size of another file download for a regular prose book. So, I mean, that's what a deal, right?
Yeah, because when I was flipping through it, I went to the Sharknado chapter, and greeting me is a black and white hand drawn picture of a Sharknado.
Right. I mean, and the book's got recipes, excerpts from classic literature that I have completely trashed, such as Moby Dick. So it's got a lot of stuff in there.
It's got something for everybody.
Yep.
So, Andrew, in closing, is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you wanted to mention, or any closing thoughts or final thoughts?
No, my mind is completely blank. I'm doing like this meditation class right now, so I'm learning to sort of wipe away all thoughts in my mind. Normally I would have 100 things to talk about right now, but right now it's just like I'm learning to zone out and go blank.
All right, Andrew, where can people find you out online?
Oh my goodness. Anywhere. Twitter, Facebook, Google. All someone has to do is Google my name, Andrew Shaffer, Shaffer. As long as they spell it right, they can find me, which is, kind of disturbing, but I'm all over the place.
And I'll make sure to link to all that in the show notes too. I'll link to your website and your Twitter.
You don't have to. Just make them work for it. Work for it.
Okay, I will not link to Andrew's info in the show notes, so you will have to work for it then.
Yes.
It'll be the first time, but I will not. I promise you, I will not link to that in the show notes.
Yeah.
But Andrew, I want to say thank you very much for coming on. Again, everyone, it's How to Survive a Sharknado and Other Unnatural Disasters. I will link to this in the show notes, but it's right to the Kindle version. And is there a physical version of this book too, Andrew?
There is, because once a Sharknado or some other type of disaster hits, you need the physical version. You're not going to be able to charge your phone or whatnot. So, I always advise people to get the ebook and the physical version, just to be on the safe side.
See, that's why you're the publisher, because that is forethought, my friend.
Yes.
So that way, yeah, you won't have. That's right. So the physical, the ebook I have, if it does, the power goes out, I won't be able to find it. So
right.
I'll have to look into the physical version now too.
Yeah.
So Andrew, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, the book is How to Survive a Sharknado, and also Sharknado 3. When this podcast drops, Sharknado 3 is only a few days right after that, and I will link to that in the show notes as well. And I will be on Twitter live tweeting it. Will you, Andrew?
I probably will. I'm going to be in New York at a writing conference at the time, though. So I'm kind of up in the air whether I'll live tweet it or not. But I'll probably be able to sneak away to Twitter for a little bit.
Yeah, just tell them, say, listen, I have to go tweet and talk about Sharknado 3.
I think other writers would definitely understand that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone, you can find me at davebullis.com. Twitter, it's at Dave_Bullis. Andrew, thanks again for coming on. And again, feel free to drop me an email anytime, and I'd love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, great finally chatting with you, Dave.
Oh, you too, my friend. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye, Andrew.
Thanks.